cause that be natural.
Lady
I ain't
D.
looking tacky. I keep my game tactful.
Yo.
Yeah, I'm so nappy.
M.O.B.
Cause that be natural.
The infamous.
I ain't looking tacky cause I keep my game tactful.
I'm so pretty, I'm so fat, boo. I'm so natural, it's like it's a taboo. I'm so filthy, got the tattoo stuck in these bitches like I own ragu. On my business with my platoon, getting these minutes like I'm a typhoon. Down the jersey on that cartoon and I'm sitting on top.
Guys, and welcome back to Afros and Baby Hairs, and thank you for joining me once again in the reading room. And today we will be discussing Bankroll Squad 2 by David Weaver. So if you're interested in joining in, then please stay tuned. And do not promote this book to anyone who is under the age of 18. This book and video is for an adult audience. Therefore, if you are under the age of 18, please get your parents' consent and or supervision. Now that I've gotten that out of the way, let's get into this book review. A couple of new characters in book 2. Right. So we have Agent Monroe, Agent Melinda, Zaglin, a nurse who like Kyla. You have Luther, who is a lieutenant of Trap Quarters. You have Dr. Jacobs, who is a doctor for the drug dealers, aka hustlers. Then you have Phil, who is Malcolm's cellmate. And then you also have Mr. Berlin, who is Pam's boss. This book started off with Kyla's situation. Kyla had to go through a lot of rehab and therapy for her recovery. Prince Tron was by her side footing the bill until she realized he was working with the feds to set her up. They wanted to get her for her prostitution ring and needed Tron to lead them to her stash. She ended up getting the full scoop of what was going on with the squad through her girl Sunshine and Rain and also her boy Luther. Kyla ended up escaping the hospital by using a nurse that had a crush on her, which is Zaglin. She ended up basically stealing his car. Pam had been sent to Wisconsin under protective custody. However, she still thought about Malcolm and obviously was still in love with him. One day she decided to leave Wisconsin to go to her mother's house back in Houston, not knowing Kyla was definitely looking for her to take her on out. Catfish realized that Prince Tron had stopped coming to see them at the prison and wondered why. Malcolm had to end up handling a dude named Marlboro who disrespected him. Let's just say dude will never look at hot oatmeal the same. Jennifer and Coward One were living a luxurious lifestyle at first. They bought a massive estate with the millions that Coward One made off the coke he stole from Malcolm. They also bought Jennifer a new Mercedes, and she ended up talking him to buying a Bentley. Was it a Bentley? I think it was a Bugatti. Later, Jennifer moved 3 of her lesbian friends in who also snorted coke. So massive amounts of Coward One's unearned fortune was used to furnish Jennifer and her friends shopping sprees and coke habits. Coward One realized one day that he only had about $400,000 left to his name. Jennifer still was able to con him out of 30 stacks for her new butt job. Running away from the feds, he made a deal to set up Kyla but wasn't able to hold up his end of the bargain. He fled to another city and hid out in a strip club all day, but eventually got sloppy drunk. Kyla had put together a crew of all the people she trusted to take out all of her adversaries, violators, and traitors. Her crew consisted of Sunshine, Rain, Trish, and Luther. Kyla also had been stashing product for years in a house she bought out in Houston. So with all the money from her prostitution ring and all of the stashed coke, she is able to continue to hold down the Bankroll Squad until the boys get out of jail. Their first hit was on Coward One. The white girls at the mansion were so naive, they let them in and invited them to join them in the jacuzzi. They murked all 3 of them and then set out to the other part of the house to get Coward 1, who was so preoccupied watching an X-rated movie and pleasuring himself, he didn't even know that the girls was watching him and ready to take him out. Kyla ended up shooting him right in his penis. He passed out a couple of times. However, Sunshine took him out of his misery. Jennifer wasn't there. She was busy showing off her new butt. Anyway, during this time, we find out that even though Sunshine loves men, she is madly in love with Kyla and will do anything to prove it to her. Luther is out trying to move the weight Kyla gave him, but while out, he sees a commotion taking place that involved a wreck. He went to see what was going on, and obviously Prince Tron was so drunk that he bagged his car into a man's taxi, but paid someone else to take the rap, and also bought the guy's beat up Pinto and used it as the getaway car. When Luther got the info, he spotted Tron leaving the scene in the Pinto and began to chase him. Jennifer decided to go and show off her new implants to Malcolm. Little did she know, he was already with a loyal visitor who had been down with him since he had been locked up. Wet, aka Tracy, kept money on his books and never missed the weekend visits. Thing is, during their one night stand, she had conceived and was waiting for the right time to tell him. At this point, she is about 4 months pregnant. Anyway, the guards ended up letting Jennifer in because they was anxious to see how everything transpired. Jennifer barged in on Malcolm and Tracy, acting like she was still married to him, and Tracy ended up wearing her out. Even when the guards escorted them out of the facility, they got it back popping in the parking lot. Tracy ended up cleaning the windshield with Jennifer's face, then stabbed her in the booty cheeks with the same knife Jennifer was trying to use on her. Malcolm ended up seeing the news along with the other inmates one day. They were reporting that another member of the Bankroll squad had been killed. The guy had been working as an informant for the FBI and was supposed to be a key witness in the case against Malcolm Powers. The news also suggested that Kyla was the suspect. Of course, the news was about Prince Tron, and planning on how she was going to start taking out all the witnesses throughout the city. And Sunshine was ready to be her ride or die during the process. Malcolm was up one night in his cell reflecting back on how he met Pam. She was actually introduced to Malcolm and Kyla during college and began to tag along with them, acting like she thought they were the cutest couple. She then started buying them gifts, and after a while she pretended to be about to get kicked out of her apartment and pretended to be broke. Malcolm offered her a job at the Bankroll squad to try to help her with her situation. So Pam been with them for a hot minute. Anyway, it's a doctor who had lost his license due to selling scripts or something along those lines. Since going to prison and coming out, now he only helps drug dealers, hustlers, pimps, etc. from the privacy of his home. When we met Dr. Jacobs, he is there stitching up Luther's wounds from the gunplay between him and Prince Tron. Later, Dr. Jacobs told Luther that he was good friends with Prince Tron, and he knew that the news was wrong about the suspect they named for his murder, and that there was a $150 reward for whoever could lead the FBI to the suspect. Luther ended up putting a dent in the doc's plans because he murked him and kicked rocks because he wasn't sure how much time he had before the cops came. Sunshine was falling deeper and deeper in love with Kyla from the sidelines. She was getting to the point where she would do anything to be with her and to prove herself. She would get annoyed by how Kyla would go to these great lengths to fight for Malcolm. To Sunshine, Malcolm was a jailbird that Kyla was wasting her time on. Meanwhile, Kyla prepared to talk to Malcolm on the phone. She had sent Luther to visit him and told Luther to give Malcolm her phone number. As she waited for Malcolm to call, she had a brief conversation with Sunshine in the bedroom. They both ended up sitting in Kyla's bed. Kyla was actually telling Sunshine how good she looked and asking her if she had a man or not. Sunshine was blushing and was enjoying the compliments Kyla was giving her. Kyla also began to say something about if she were a lesbian, but was interrupted by the call she was waiting on for Malcolm, and ended up asking Sunshine to give her some privacy. So with that being said, she kind of gave Sunshine the wrong idea. But anyway,
Jennifer discovers the massacre at Coward's One Estate, and it sent her straight to the coke to get high. She ended up packing her stuff, the money she had stashed, and the coke that was left. She claimed she was going to check into a hotel, then call 911. But I'm sure after getting her high on, she forgot all about calling 911. Sweetback Fatty began to threaten Tracy to leave Malcolm alone. I guess he wanted her back after she started spending all her free weekends at the jail seeing Malcolm. FYI, she still hadn't told Malcolm about the baby. The FBI ended up calling Pam's mom's house, according to the mom. Pam had to rush and get on the next thing smoking back to Wisconsin. Pam knew that the FBI didn't know anything about her mother's whereabouts. So she did ask her mother, did she call them? And her mother told her, why would I do something like that? Either way, Pam left. But her boss caught up to her at the rental car place at the airport. He told her she would be staying at his house in Houston till the trial and wouldn't let her leave to go back to Wisconsin. Carla began plotting on how she was going to visit Malcolm, and her goal was to pretend to be one of his lawyers. She even got assistance from the actual law firm to pull off the scheme. She grabbed Sunshine as her backup in case anything went wrong. At the jail, she was able to act as an attorney, showing her credentials and paperwork, and was able to get in to see Malcolm in a private room with no cameras. Of course, they spent 30 minutes getting reacquainted, so they left only about 15 minutes to discuss the Bankroll's business. Malcolm basically just gave her all the documents his lawyers had given him concerning the case, along with the paperwork where the names and addresses of all the witnesses were. He also told her that Pam was the key witness, and if she couldn't find her, then there was no hope. They also kept in touch via cell phone. Pam soon discovers how she was found out. Her mom had actually called the FBI. She had been working for them for years. Luther was stacking major money at the trap house since Carla had given him the work. The goal was to stack as much as possible so that they could all possibly relocate to another country. He also made Trish and Rain pick up the money every night while Kyla and Sunshine handled secret business elsewhere. They were actually taking out all the witnesses on the list that Malcolm had gave her. Anyway, they were breaking in close to $800,000 a day, and one day made close to $1 million. And on that particular day, Sweetback Fatty came by to tell Luther that if he could tell him where Tracy was, he would tell him where to find Pam. Jennifer ended up hanging out with her best friend on a bridge. Jennifer's friend had been an addict since graduating from high school. They sat on the bridge and had got high together, acting super weird. Jennifer ended up telling her friend that she lost about $200,000 in coke at McDonald's while jumping around in the bouncy house before she was kicked out by the manager. Later, they ended up driving around in circles in Jennifer's Mercedes. They stopped at a gas station and people stopped and stared at them because they were some extremely dirty and dingy white girls on crack riding around in what appeared to be, to the onlookers, a stolen car. Malcolm, Brink, and Catfish discovered that their trial had been pushed up because the witnesses were coming up dead. They also knew that the ladies were on a rampage. Anyhow, Malcolm and Catfish got into a dispute about Kyla and Catfish's wife, Trish. Luther tried to talk Rain and Trisha into falling back due to the orders he received from Malcolm, but they refused. Anyway, they grabbed the money as usual to take it back to Kyla's house, but this day they were being watched and followed by Raleigh and Diaz from the Dynasty Cartel. They actually had been watching the girls for a few days. Anyhow, today they followed them so far in one car, then changed cars, caught back up to the girls, and followed them some more. They eventually ended up shooting Trisha in the head, and Rain had to get out of Dodge. They were retaliating from when Catfish shot Dexter, which is Riley's little brother. They ended up relaying the news to Malcolm, as well as the proposition Sweetback Fatty came and made. As good as the deal sounded, he could not turn his back on Tracy like that. She had been a good friend, plus loyalty was everything to him.
Plus, him and Kylie had cooked up some other plans. I mean, Kyla. So, I did want to mention that one day when Tracy, one day when she left the actual prison or jail from seeing Malcolm, she wanted to stop by a Dunkin' Donuts to get a donut and some coffee. She saw what appeared to be an interracial couple arguing. So, you know, of course the girl was black and the man was white, and so the girl was crying, so that made her get up to go check on the girl. And as she got closer to them, she heard them talking about Malcolm's case and soon discovered that that was Pam and her boss. So Tracy decided that she was going to blow up the place by running into a gas tank outside of the store. And as the FBI agents, which was Pam and the white dude, walked out of the actual facility, she decided to take off in her car. And right before she hit Pam, she was like, no, I can't do this. I got a baby, blah, blah, blah. But her car didn't stop. She actually hit Pam. And then, of course, the white man called out of her name, put a gun on her. Of course, she got arrested. So she may be facing some serious time for actually hitting Pam. Anyway, I did want to put that in there. The men ended up going to trial. The prosecutors had promised to pay crackhead Jennifer to testify against her ex-husband, and that went terribly wrong. Jen couldn't keep her lies together and ended up telling the court she was offered money to lie and wanted to know if she could still get paid for trying. Later, the men took the stand, denying everything since Jennifer had made it easy for them. However, when Catfish took the stand, he admitted to all his wrongs, even the ones they didn't know anything about, simply because he was mourning his wife. He did tell the court that the others had nothing to do with it. However, when the jurors went to deliberate and came back, they found all the men guilty on all charges because of Catfish's statement. Anywho, as they were being placed in a van to be transported from the courthouse to the prison, Luther and the girls were in a Hummer preparing for the escape. Luther had a street sweeper and let loose on everything in sight. They got the men into the getaway vehicle and headed to Kyla's to aboard the jet that was waiting. The cops were right on their tail. However, the automatic locking gates locked when they entered Kyla's estate, and that bought the squad some time to board the jet before the cops bombarded their way in. Everyone had made it to the jet. Malcolm was the last one to attempt to climb the ladder. However, since his hands were handcuffed, he would definitely need help. The only person who was standing at the door of the jet and could help Malcolm climb up was Sunshine. However, she had a gun pointed to his face as she pulled up the ladder. He was confused as to what was happening because she was the one who came up with the escape idea. She left Malcolm there, and within minutes, the jet was gone and the cops had barged in on him from behind with the guns drawn. Ain't that shiesty? Anyway, thoughts and opinions on this book. First of all, I hate that it took all of this chaos for Malcolm to realize that Kyla is his ride or die. The second thing is the disloyalty of Prince Tron, Pam, Dexter, Dr. Jacob, Sunshine, and to a degree, Catfish. All of that is horrible. That's sad. The next one is Jennifer was super funny in this book. She turned out to be a whole mess. It's really sad what happened to Trisha, but Catfish lived by the gun. So she was just, the closest thing to him that they could touch. I also think that it is foolish of Tracy, and it was foolish of Tracy in her attempt to run over Pam, but it's really sad that she just, threw her life away for a man who definitely has already moved on back to his first fiance. She was only around him because they actually kidnapped her. He never really wanted to be with her or anything like that. So I don't know why did she risk her freedom, you know, for him. And then the other thing, Sunshine is just, oh my God. But I figured something like that was going to happen. But I can't wait to read book 3 to see what really does happen when they discover that Malcolm is not on that jet and Sunshine is the reason. So to me, that was the worst betrayal out of the whole book. Besides, well, Prince Tron's betrayal was a little bit much too. But anyway, if you all have read the Bankroll Squad 2, leave your comments below to tell me your thoughts on it. So yeah, guys, I do want to thank you so much for stopping by today. I really appreciate your time and energy. I hope to see you guys on the next video. Peace and love, and as always, be blissful.
DJ Mike C on the track.
Cause that be natural.
Lady
I ain't
D.
looking tacky. I keep my game tactful.
Yo,
Yeah, I'm so nappy.
M.O.B.
Cause that be natural.
The infamous.
I ain't looking